All right, so today we're going to dive into something that's pretty much all around us, the world of so-called thought leaders and influencer culture. It's a system that has totally reshaped how we get our information, who we trust, and even what we think is valuable. So we're going to break down how it all works, where its real power comes from, and some of the potential hidden costs you might not see at first glance.
In this quote from our source material really frames the central question for us, doesn't it? In this age of thought leaders, do we actually need someone to guide our thinking, or is that something we should be doing for ourselves? It's a great place to start. So, first up, let's take a look at how we even got here. We're going to track the evolution of fame, from the traditional celebrity of the past to the modern influencer of today.
What we're seeing here is a huge fundamental shift. We've moved from these distant, aspirational celebrities we'd see in magazines to this constant performance of, intimacy from influencers. The whole goal has changed. It's not just about being famous anymore. It's about this relentless 24/7 drive to go viral by any means necessary.
Think about it. That old-school celebrity gossip always felt so disconnected, right? A millionaire's messy divorce on a yacht, it's just pure spectacle when you're maybe struggling to pay your rent. As our source material highlights, it really felt like it was all happening in a completely different universe from most people's day-to-day reality.
Okay, so this brings us to the engine driving this new system. If the old way was kind of like a one-way street, the new way is more like a chaotic racetrack, and it's fueled by this desperate, never-ending race for our attention.
And that's the core principle right there. Things like substance, real talent, actual expertise, they all take a backseat to just capturing eyeballs as quickly as possible. And this dynamic, well, it forces this constant escalation in behavior just to get noticed.
The source uses this really vivid, kind of funny analogy to show just how absurd this one-upmanship gets. So picture this. Step one, someone streaks at a football game. Okay, wild. But to top that, the next person has to do it on a unicycle. And you know where this is going, right? Soon enough, someone has to do it on a unicycle while juggling. The stunts just have to become more and more extreme to even make a blip on the radar.
So, this system doesn't really reward insight. It rewards drama. The formula is almost shockingly simple. Create some conflict, film it, and broadcast it. And this can lead to some really disturbing outcomes. The source actually cites some pretty grim examples of families allegedly manufacturing the abuse of their own kids, all for views.
And here's the truly bizarre result of all this. Once you go viral, even for the most ridiculous reason, you're suddenly treated like an expert. You mastered creating drama, and now you're being asked for your hot take on politics or finance or public health. The attention itself has become the credential.
But, this isn't just some harmless game. This culture has serious consequences. So let's actually look at the fallout and what some of those hidden costs are.
Our source material has a name for this: clout culture. And in this system, attention is the most valuable thing you can have. It's the ultimate currency. How you get it, whether it's helpful or harmful, ethical or not, that kind of becomes irrelevant.
And this culture produces at least 4 really toxic byproducts. First, what the source calls zombieism, where fans lose their critical thinking and just attack anyone who questions their favorite influencer. Second, it completely erases accountability for bad advice. Third, it lets influencers hide their real, unearned advantages. And finally, as we've already seen, it makes us think that attention is the same thing as expertise.
Yeah, cloud culture absolutely thrives on that self-made myth. But these stories we're told, they often hide the truth. For instance, the whole story of Jeff Bezos starting Amazon in a garage often leaves out the part about the significant reported investment he got from his family. These carefully curated stories conceal the real-world advantages that so many successful people actually have.
So why? Why is this culture so powerful? Well, the answer might actually lie in the voids in our society that influencers have, for better or worse, stepped in to fill. It's the central question, isn't it? If the system has all these flaws, why are we so drawn to it? The source suggests that it's not really a personal failing on our part, but it's more of a response to these larger systemic failures.
Our source material points to 3 key areas where our traditional systems have really let us down. An education system that often favors just memorizing things over actually questioning them. A one-way media that just kind of shouts at us. And major institutions, from government to our jobs, that just fail to provide the support we need.
And this reveals a really sneaky psychological trap. When a system fails us, through things like poisoned water or a bad economy,
The self-help culture often tells us that the problem is us. It's our mindset. A huge collective problem gets reframed as some kind of individual moral failing, which leaves us desperately searching for a charismatic savior to come and fix us.
And this brings all these ideas together in this final, brilliant trap that the source calls the palace intrigue.
Okay, so here's how it works. An influencer shows you their incredible life, the mansion, the fancy cars, all the success, and you become so entranced by this shiny palace that you completely fail to realize it was built with your money, your attention, and your trust, often through manipulation and a bunch of empty promises. The source puts it so bluntly with this quote. The influencer isn't just sharing their success with you. They're showing off a monument that was built on their audience's exploitation. You're basically invited to come admire the very thing that was built at your own expense.
And look, this dynamic isn't just about online personalities. Our source argues it has massive real-world consequences. The Trump presidency is presented as a political manifestation of this whole thing, a leader who fused celebrity, cloud chasing, and nonstop drama into this powerful force that promised to save people from a failing establishment.
Which leaves us with this final, and I think really critical question. While we're all captivated by the spectacle of an influencer's palace, are we ignoring the real, systemic problems, the metaphorical poison in our water? That's a question that's definitely worth thinking about.